right, we're back for another one, everyone. We have a very, I'll use air quotes, fun podcast that we're going to record today with you, Amber Romaniuk. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're talking emotional eating, um, all the things in between there, the emotional eating, the body freedom, reclaiming trust with our body. I feel like it's gonna be a spicy one today. So thanks for coming on to the show.
Thank you, Rachel, for having me. I agree. It's going to be spicy.
Yes. Yeah. So I always love to start with people as they're coming on, like why this work? Usually we have like a story of our own that led us here. So could we start with that? Could we hear a little bit about you?
Totally. Yeah. We'll go the long story short is that I had no plans for this to be my life's work at
Mhm.
all. I went to college to be a TV host, not to do this. That was like my original plan at 18, but who really knows what they want to do at 18 anyways.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so essentially what happened and brought me into the work that I'm doing today is a few little events that accumulated to a big shift. So when I was 5, I took the bus to school for the first time, and the older boys called me fat and ugly. And I took that identity on for the next 20 years of my life. So I was bullied. And then my mom and I shared a very intimate relationship with food. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis before I was born. And I think it was a big way of compensation out of guilt from her that there's a lot of things we couldn't do together because of her symptoms.
Mhm.
Also, she had an underlying food addiction, and I observed it lovingly when I healed my own. I'm like, oh, I
Mhm.
see in her. And I innocently inherited some of it from her, and not a blame at all. Like, I didn't realize it until I had healed my own. And then you start dieting in your tweens and teens. Like, I grew up in the 90s, right? And so it's like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera,
Cosmo,
all the
yeah.
flat stomachs, Cosmo, everything's Photoshop, but no one tells you it's Photoshop. So you think there's
Mhm.
something wrong with you when you're comparing, and there's not. But again, all the Photoshopping and all the diets. Oh my gosh, trying
Mhm.
all these stupid diets like the salsa diet and like lose 10 pounds in 3 days and all this stuff. When you're insecure, you give your power away to the diet industry, the fitness industry, media, and the Hollywood. And you're just like, I'm desperate. What do I need to do to look desirable, to get love and success and attention?
Mhm.
And then in my early 20s, I had my first breakup, and it was very upsetting, and I could barely eat, and I started losing weight really quickly. And
Mhm.
then I added in 2 hours of exercise a day, and I reached my goal weight. And because again, the weight loss industry convinces you once you lose weight, you'll finally be happy. And you really
Mhm.
hang on to that belief if you've been programmed with that. And I lost the weight, and I wasn't happy, and nothing got better, and my life wasn't all of a sudden perfect. And then my period disappeared, and I just was feeling off and more critical. And then it was like this switch flipped. And I remember going to a barbecue. And of course, when you're in the diet mentality, you make a salad and bring it. And you're like, I'm only eating what I bring, right? That was my whole thing because I need to attain my physique. But
Mhm.
restricting and over exercising is not the way. And I
Mhm.
had some of my salad, and then I also had a piece of ice cream cake. And then I had another piece of ice cream cake. Then I had a burger. Then I ate a whole chocolate bar off the counter. I actually took it into the bathroom and ate it like in hiding.
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, I need to leave before someone figures out I ate this whole thing. I felt kind of like ashamed. And then
Mhm.
I went home, got Dairy Queen, like all kinds of fast food and ice cream, binged until I was so full I was sick. And that birthed my cycle of binge eating. And then,
Mhm.
of course, after that big binge, the next morning I get on the scale. I'm up like 8 pounds. Obviously, a lot of it's like retention and stuff, but you panic and you think, oh my gosh, I gained 8 pounds. This is horrible.
Mhm.
I'm skipping breakfast, skipping lunch, go to the gym for 3 hours today to try and compensate. And that birthed my all or nothing mentality. Now I
Mhm.
fell into binge eating, was binge eating 6 nights a week roughly, gained 80 pounds in 4 months, became the heaviest I had ever been. And nightmare became my life for the next few years where I was just unrecognizable. I felt so insecure. I felt so ashamed that I had looked so perfect, air quotes, and now I'm like so heavy and no one's gonna love me. And why I'm not dating, I'm not going out and being social. I'm like 22 years old,
Oh my
like
gosh,
21 years
yeah.
old. Like I am just hiding at home, binge eating, working my crappy retail job, barely any money in my bank account. It's like, do I get gas or do I go buy my binge food? Go buy my binge food and I'll just put like $4 of gas in my car. Like I was so addicted to food and to
Mhm.
this behavior. Um, and so then I had my low point moment a couple years later. So when we get into these behaviors, whether it's binge eating or emotional eating or mindless shopping or drinking or scrolling or binge working, like whatever your thing is, we get into this denial that, oh, what I'm doing isn't a big deal. Food's my friend. I don't know what I would do without it. It tastes good. It makes me feel good, all that kind of stuff. So this denial can keep us stuck in these vicious cycles. Even though you're suffering so much, like denial keeps us stuck. And I remember starting to read about what binge eating was. I also went through a period of bulimia for 6 months and was able to stop it, but went through that, went through chewing and spitting, like everything but anorexia, essentially. And I just remember throwing the food in the garbage, laying on the couch in tears, just going like, I don't know if I'm going to make 30 if I keep up this level of destruction between the binge eating, the restriction, that the self-hatred, the way
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to myself, the way I treated my body, it was so negative. And I felt horrible. My digestion was a mess. Like everything was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd throw the food, the garbage, laying on the couch in tears. And then the food settles. And I think, well, if this is the last time I'm going to do this, I better finish it off. And so I went into the kitchen, pulled out my garbage, grabbed the cookies and ate them, threw them in the dumpster, and then went back in the back alley of my freaking dumpster and ate them again. And I'm like, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing? How did this become my life? Like, this is not what I had planned. It was like rock bottom low point, but I needed that to happen because it crushed the denial that what I was doing wasn't a big deal anymore. I'm like, this is a big deal. This is significantly negatively impacting my health and my future, of everything that I want. So I better start trying to figure this out. Now, at the time, I had no knowledge of anything I do today. Zero. Like I said earlier, I went to college to be a TV host, not, I knew that nothing about health. I thought you either had good genes or bad genes, and I ended up with bad luck. So this is like, that's literally what I thought of health, literally. So that's where I was starting. It felt very overwhelming and intimidating. And I started to learn about like nutrition and sugar and like certain foods that are addictive and started cleaning up my eating. But it's when I still wanted to keep binge eating that I realized that it was deeper than the food. I'm like, I want to eat 10 bananas and a whole jar of organic peanut butter. I want to eat a whole bag of cashews, 10 protein bars. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this is deeper than just cleaning up the food. And I
Mm-hmm.
just share this part of the journey because I think it's so important for women and the listeners to understand the roots of any form of self-sabotage and unworthiness, not just emotional eating. But I realized it came down to I don't feel good enough. I feel
Mm-hmm.
very unworthy and I want to figure out how to feel worthy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid to feel my emotions and I'm using this as a numbing and an avoidant mechanism, right? I have no healthy ways to cope with stress.
Mm-hmm.
I'm terrible at dealing with stress. And I don't know why I'm doing this or what's triggering me. So perhaps I should start to explore these things and figure out how to feel my emotions that
Mm-hmm.
even if it's uncomfortable, like I am safe in the moment to feel. Wow, I have so many triggers. Overwhelm, weighing in, eating sugar makes me want more sugar, having a negative interaction, overbooking my weekend. Learning my triggers was so liberating.
Mm-hmm.
Catching negative self-talk, self-forgiveness, all that kind of stuff. So going through that really helped me overcome those behaviors. Freedom. I don't believe in, oh, you're always going to have the demon in the closet. I broke free and I healed it. I helped my clients fully healed it. You're not going to go back to this if you fully heal it. The
Mm-hmm.
only reason you do
Mm-hmm.
is if you don't address something. So rest assured, I don't believe. I just hear the rhetoric all the time, a lot from Western medicine of like, oh, once a binge eater, always a binge eater. You have a food
Mm-hmm.
addiction, you'll never get. I'm like, no, that is
Mm-hmm.
false.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's what I healed. And then people are like, what are you doing? You look so vibrant. You're different. You're confident. You're eating well. Like, what are you glowing? And I'm like, well, this is what I went through. And I was debating starting a business and then I did. And I just you thought, I feel like there's so many women struggling to some level with unworthiness, with the weight body battle, with emotional eating, binge eating, food addiction or bulimia, with the gut issues, the hormone issues. And when you get support and you're reaching out to people, like it's so important that you feel like you can be held in a safe space and you can be heard and not judged. And I feel like, unfortunately, sometimes there's a lot of judgment around this, like, oh, you're lazy, just stop eating the chips. And it's like, it's so much bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so when you are going to open up to someone and be vulnerable with them, it's so important that you hold a safe space. And I
Yeah.
think going through, when you go through the things you can relate, it just allows you to know how you would never want to be treated and how you would want to be treated. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what prompted me to start my business 13 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful because it's shaped me into the woman I am today and it's given me everything I have.
Yeah. Yeah, and same, very grateful that you're in this business too, because yeah, these not your exact story, right? Because our stories are so unique to us,
Mhm.
but just the amount of women I've worked with, hundreds and hundreds of women over the last few, decade, and um, similar stories coming through, right? And what I'm also, I want to thank you for sharing your story because I think it is so
Yeah.
helpful for people just to hear. We're not over here like perfect beings ourselves. We've had
Yeah.
our own host of trauma and experiences too. And so yeah, what I'm really hearing is like emotional eating necessarily is not about the food, right? It's so much deeper than that. It's like, as you mentioned, it's sometimes it's often those emotions that we're trying to avoid, we're trying to soothe, we're trying to regulate our nervous system through food or cope through
Yeah.
food. And yeah, I really like that you mentioned too. It's not just about like the sugary things. I think that was something that I came across in my own journey, right? It's like to I can just have one and it's okay.
Yeah.
But I like the wanting the more than one, whether it's right now I'm like in a kiwi phase. And so it's
Nice.
interesting. Yeah, it's just interesting to like really get specific around your relationship with food. Mindful eating is we've had guests talking about that on the show even, but um yeah, I want to get a little bit deeper, I think, into the self-sabotage behaviors. Because let's talk about like what does self-sabotage actually look like for a person when it comes to food in our bodies.
Yeah, and there's both spectrums. There's a spectrum
Mhm.
of restriction
Mhm.
and using restriction as a punishment, and then using overconsumption as a punishment. And a bonus third would be using exercise as a punishment. I
Mhm.
overate,
Mhm.
I overdid it, now I'm going to go punish myself and try and compensate with burning calories, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, with sabotage, the root drivers, a big one is often we'll have several or maybe something really significant going on in our life that feels out of control.
Mhm.
And so a way for us to try and grip for control is using food to cope. We think if I can control what I eat, I can control what I pick to have, I can control how much I eat and what kinds of food I get, and that I can control that I start eating it and I feel really good. But the irony is we're out of control in that case still
Mhm.
because we're not able to be aware of our emotions, identify why we're feeling the way that we do, and then give ourselves what we really need instead of food.
Mhm.
Now, you will gain that as you heal it, but that's a big driver of self sabotage. Unworthiness is another big driver. When I don't feel good enough, I have this void, this lack of self love that I'm trying to fill with food. What will fuel self sabotage with food is
Mhm.
being overwhelmed, being overbooked, being last on your list, being a people pleaser and giving to everyone else. And then you have nothing left for you and your cup is empty. And
Mhm.
I just recorded a podcast on this last week where I talked about the limiting belief of I should know better. I know what I need to do. I just need to do it when it comes to
Mhm.
like eating clean and having willpower. But that's actually a limiting belief. And it convinces us that we just need to try harder when it really blocks us in looking at, well, why do I emotionally eat? Why am I
Mhm.
always overwhelmed? Why am I depleted? Why don't I want to deal with the people pleasing? Do I feel uncomfortable saying no? Does it feel too hard? Am I afraid I'm going to upset somebody?
Mhm.
People pleasing is a massive driver of
Mhm.
emotional eating
Mhm.
because if it depletes us, it overwhelms us, it makes us tired, it gives us hormone imbalances, and all of those things become emotional eating triggers and fuel sabotage. And the biggest thing is when you want to emotionally eat, that is a sign that your body's in a stress response. Usually, I mean, celebration is an exception. Some people will go to a celebration and eat, and then that triggers overconsumption.
Mhm.
However, normally it's something that's stressing the system out, or the system's been building stress for a long time. So you're in
Mhm.
fight or flight stress response. And when we're in that state and our nervous system is dysregulated, we don't feel safe. The
Mhm.
body thinks there's a bear or some form of threat.
Mhm.
And the body's like, we need comfort.
Mhm.
And so, whatever you have associated with comfort for years or decades is usually what you will go to until you rewire it.
Mhm.
So, again, just my point here is unworthiness that
Mhm.
fuels behaviors like people pleasing, perfection, all or nothing. I don't feel good enough in my body. This stresses the system out so much. And then we latch on to external comforts like food, alcohol, shopping, scrolling, people
Mhm.
pleasing,
Mhm.
sex, like all kinds of things in excess to where it's doing us a disservice.
Mhm.
So, and then dieting is a huge self-sabotage. And part of it is because it feeds emotional eating. So
Hmm.
diets teach rules, diets teach perfection, diets teach all or nothing. You
Hmm.
have to be perfect to do this, otherwise, like it's not going to work. You're not going to
Hmm.
get the result. They teach a lot of food fears, food rules, right? All that kind of stuff. And so if you inherit that, some or all of what I've just said, it creates such an overwhelming relationship with food because you're like, that's bad. I shouldn't eat that. Carbs are bad. No, you need carbs for good cortisol levels, ladies,
Hmm.
good
Hmm.
progesterone levels. I'm talking like fruits and vegetables and quinoa, not like white bread, but you know what I mean? They've been demonized. Fats have been demonized. Like, so there's so much confusion in the food and the diet industry.
Yeah.
And women have just been so targeted, and it's just the overwhelm of what do I eat can become an emotional eating trigger because all this is bad and I shouldn't eat this and I have to eat clean. Or maybe innocently your naturopath put you on an elimination diet and told you it's the only way to heal your gut, which restrictive and elimination diets are the worst thing a practitioner can put someone on who was dealing with emotional or binge eating because it will at some point trigger you to binge,
Hmm.
because you're going to rebel at some point and go, I want to eat all the things I'm not allowed to have. Or
Hmm.
your emotional eating triggers are going to come up while you're going through that protocol. And then you're going to feel shame that you can't heal your gut.
Hmm.
And then you're going to feel like a failure. So, side note, I don't suggest elimination diets for anyone healing their relationship with food. You will heal your gut
Hmm.
without that.
Hmm.
So yeah, so there's both these sides of like diets and restriction fuel emotional and binge eating because at some point you're going to go and consume all the things you weren't allowing yourself to have and you're probably going to rebel. I went through that time and time again. And the more rules you have, the more you tell yourself, I can't, I shouldn't, this is bad. Again, it fuels this huge pendulum swing to go the other way.
Hmm.
And diets don't teach you how to cope with stress.
Yeah.
So if you don't have healthy ways to cope and you feel unworthy, you're going to swing from trying to eat clean or eat perfectly, and you're just going to go engorge or overconsume.
Hmm.
So those things are really, to me, rooted in self-sabotage.
Yeah. And I think it's like all this, it really takes some radical honesty for a person to really come to terms with this. And this is kind of like reminding me of shadow work even. Like, it's like
Yeah,
what are the things that I'm avoiding or what are the things that I'm not looking at? And like you said, like overcompensating with emotional eating to avoid looking deeper into those things and healing those.
totally.
And that's where so where I was gauging what you were getting at. It's like if we don't actually heal it, like actually heal the root of it, it is just going to be reoccurring and maybe showing
Yep.
possibly even in different ways.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And I think that's one of the biggest things because so many women come to me saying, I thought I healed this. I haven't had any triggers for like a year or 6 months and it just came back so hard. And they're like, I tried this diet or I started taking hormones or this supplement or I
Mhm.
read a book and I'm like, well, celebrate yourself for what you tried to explore. But like, it's so much more complex and it's so much more rooted, than what we're educated on or taught.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, my work as a sex therapist and a sex coach, like one of the biggest things that I see in my work is women that are really struggling to be present during sex because they're thinking
Yeah.
of what their body looks like.
Yeah.
So curious for you in this emotional eating realm of things, like where do you see the connection between body image and intimacy?
Oh, it is 100% connected because so many of my clients don't want to be intimate with their partners because
Mhm.
they don't want to be seen naked. They feel undesirable. They don't feel good enough. They don't feel they can perform enough. They don't hold up to the lady in the calendar on the right, like which is so unrealistic. So it's like they've just beat themselves and their worth up to the point where they feel so unworthy and so undesirable.
Mhm.
I think another thing with the intimacy is it's hard for them to be present, not only because of the body piece, but if they are constantly in negative self-talk, constantly beating themselves up, I shouldn't have eaten that today. I had that. That was bad. I didn't do, like, well, how can you be present in an intimate moment if you're
Mhm.
just constantly like breaking your day down and dissecting everything you ate, your calories, whether you did or didn't do a good job?
Mhm.
Tomorrow, this is how I need to try hard. Like, it robs you of any present moment, especially intimacy with
Yeah.
your partner. Also, the reactions. So, you being hard on yourself, you being critical, you constantly being in that negative dynamic. Like, this is that shadow work. I call it the ego. Like, the ego is
Mhm.
just constantly yelling at you, constantly belittling you. And then you emotionally eat and you get angry at yourself. But because you don't process it, who do you lash out on? Your spouse, your
Mhm.
kids.
Mhm.
So it also impacts intimacy in the sense of there's more arguments, there's more fights, you're
Mhm.
shorter
Mhm.
with your spouse, and that causes conflict. Or maybe because you're the people pleaser, you actually don't speak up. You don't request your needs. You don't share what you need. You don't know how to have a difficult conversation because you're afraid of conflict,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we should be able to talk to our spouses. And I've seen in marriages where they've healed that and the relationship gets so much better because they learned how to speak up and
Mm-hmm.
communicate.
Mm-hmm.
But think of the resentment that that builds when you're holding everything in and you harbor all this resentment toward your spouse when it's you that decided not to speak up. That
Mm-hmm.
ends marriages. I've
Oh
seen
yeah.
it
Oh yeah.
when it didn't have to happen if the woman would have worked on speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
Because how
Mm-hmm.
can he can't read your mind. So yeah, that's how I see intimacy being impacted in several different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing those different perspectives. And yeah, something that you talk about with your people is body freedom.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Like how can we what does it mean and how can we get more of it?
Yeah, so body freedom means that you have learned to love yourself and feel worthy and confident living in your body. And it means you get to have your cake and eat it too. It means that you are able to, from a place of love and respect, I choose to eat in a way that is nourishing for my body and supportive of my health.
Mm-hmm.
And I do also give myself permission to enjoy a mindful indulgence, to enjoy, the cake or the dessert or that bit of ice
Mm-hmm.
cream in moderation, and you enjoy it without guilt.
Mm-hmm.
You complete that experience and you can move on to the next part of your day without any negative thought, any desire to restrict. It's just like, this is a part of my day, just like the next part of it is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just peace and freedom, very minimal thought about food. Maybe you're thinking a bit about what you're going to make for dinner, but
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you're more present through your day. And to me, that's what body freedom is really about.
Mm-hmm.
And then that evolves into like more energy, mental clarity, your body feeling safe. And if your body feels safe and you have weight you want to shed, your body will release weight without you forcing, exercise restriction.
Mm-hmm.
Weight is a safety mechanism. The body will hang on because she doesn't feel safe. So if we can help your body feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
that is also part of body freedom. I released 80 pounds through rest, through pausing from the
Mm-hmm.
gym, balancing my hormones, healing my wounded inner child, like doing the
Mm-hmm.
inner work. It fell off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was hormones in the gym was making my hormone issues worse.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And age isn't a factor in that, in my opinion, because I've helped women from their 20s to their 80s and they've all had the hormone issues and it's about safety. So
Mm-hmm.
if you've been told, well, it's your age, you're never going to lose weight, you're just going to gain weight as you age. Please delete that thought from your mind, whoever
Mm-hmm.
told you that, because that's false. But that's part of what body freedom is. It's empowerment, it's confidence, it's learning to speak up, it's your worth, it's claiming your optimal physical health,
Mm-hmm.
energetic health, emotional health. Um, and it allows you to step fully into the woman you've always dreamed of being.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah, we need more women feeling that.
Yeah.
Just yeah, being kinder and nicer to ourselves. Like and it's so opposite, like you're saying, like it's so opposite of what we've been told, right? If I'm resting, if I'm not going hard in the gym, right, then I'm lazy, I'm
Yeah.
weak, I'm not doing right, then not doing enough story comes through.
Yeah.
And I've been podcasting now for 7 years, like every single person in a related field to ours is saying the same thing. Like we
Yeah.
need to slow down. We need to be in the soft girl era, right? Like we're all sort
Yes.
of preaching the same thing, like rest, pause, be,
Hmm.
listen to your body and react in the way that like your body is calling you to.
100%. Yeah. We need to be more in our feminine energy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What, just for partners that might be listening to this episode today that can see that whether it's male or female, I think, right, like
Hmm.
emotional eating is definitely not gender biased.
No.
What is something that a partner can do if they have somebody in their life that is struggling with this?
Yeah. Can I say what not to do first?
Yes, please. Yes.
Please do not tell them that they just need to have willpower and like eat clean and go to
Yeah.
the gym more. Please do not do that
Hmm.
and any form of judgment because it will just disempower your partner more. What
Hmm.
you can do is say, "Hey, I am here for you if you want to talk about what's going on."
Hmm.
Open up a safe, non-judgmental space. Um, Say, "Hey, if I can support you anyway, like if you're feeling triggered, and instead of going to food, like let me know you're triggered and let's talk about it." So you can hold some of that space.
Hmm.
I think also if, there's body image struggles or insecurities, like be authentic with
Hmm.
your partner on how you're feeling. And at the same time, though, it's going to be your responsibility to build your worth, and it's not their responsibility to try and convince you that you're good enough and beautiful enough,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think being very soft and nurturing and compassionate with your partner
Mm-hmm.
is the best way that you can support them with emotional eating or binge eating. And then you can always, if you're observing them, noticing, wow, this seems intensive, like it seems like they're really struggling,
Mm-hmm.
you can always open up the dialogue and say, how are you really doing? Like I'm just observing you, and do you want to explore getting help with this? Do you want me to help you get some help, or like how
Mm-hmm.
can I support you? I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's the best way. Don't tell them what to do. Don't say you need help, you need to do it. Please, like that just can trigger rebellion. It's like, can I help you? What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
More
Mm-hmm.
questions, I think, and I'm here
Mm-hmm.
for you. I'm here to
Mm-hmm.
support you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tag on the hug to help to herd method, right? Like when they're coming to your
Yeah.
partner is coming to you to ask them, do you need me to help you? Do you need me to hear you? Do you need me to hug you? Uh,
Yeah.
because I think oftentimes, especially if this is male-female dynamic, we see a lot of times the men wanting to go into fix-it mode of like, okay, here, like doing the work, right? Or and
Yeah.
sometimes that's the women too, right? Like us, those of us that want to fix things too, if it's or maybe our male partner coming to us with this,
hmm
but yeah, sometimes most of the time we just want to be heard is what I'm finding.
Oh, 100%. It's a huge weight off your shoulders when you can feel the ability to feel vulnerable
hmm
with your partner.
hmm
It's huge.
hmm Yeah, wonderful. So yeah, like some practical tips as we're getting more into this, like if somebody is noticing that, just noticing this, like, oh shit, I'm maybe an emotional eater. I've maybe
Yeah.
been doing this and didn't realize it or wasn't labeling it as this. What is something that we can do right then in the moment?
Yeah. Three quick little tips. First tip, is this physical or emotional hunger?
hmm hmm
Often it's emotional. You'll be able to tell right away, but just as a reminder, physical hunger is things like a stomach growl, a hunger signal. You look at the clock, haven't eaten in a few hours, your blood sugar's crashed, right? Those are some signs of physical hunger. And then emotional hunger is everything else. So is this physical versus emotional hunger? Next up, try to remove yourself from the temptation so that you can take a moment, like breathe, find your breath, do some deep breathing, but try to remove yourself from the temptation. And then if you can ask yourself, what's triggering me right now?
hmm
What am I feeling right now? Am I overwhelmed? Am I tired? Does visually seeing the food make me want to eat it all? Like, what is this about? Because the more you can start building awareness around your triggers and what's actually constantly coming up for you, then
hmm
you can go, okay, well, based on my trigger, what do I really need instead of food?
hmm
And
Yeah,
then you may find yourself going for a walk or speaking to your partner or listening to a podcast, journaling about it,
yeah,
right? Whatever that looks like. But those are the things to start with in building awareness.
yeah. I think that's perfect. It's in my work too. It's like helping people notice what their pattern recognition is and like that loop that they're going through. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I like creating that pause to ask exactly those things that you just offered, right? Like what do I actually need here? Like
Mhm.
what is if I get deeper into the layers, like what is my body actually like calling out for, screaming
Yeah.
in some cases?
Yeah. And if you're like, I don't know what I need in the moment, rest assured, I can guarantee you what you need is a little bit of love and comfort. So
hmm
go take a bath, get out for the walk, cuddle your dog, talk to your partner, like just something that's very simple that you know is going to soothe you that isn't food. And if you eat, then after you eat, forgive yourself. That's the
hmm
most important thing. And then
hmm
what did that trigger teach me? We have to start dedicating some time to exploring our triggers, why we're behaving the way that we are, and understanding it if we want to overcome it. We can't just keep flying by the seat of our pants in our life and
hmm
expect to overcome these behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like we really it's hard work too. I don't want to
It
just
is,
normalize
it's
that.
hard work.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it can be simple, but definitely not easy and for most people's cases, I would say.
Yeah, but I think that's why so many women stay stuck. That's why I stayed stuck because
hmm
it's uncomfortable. And
hmm
when I thought about eating, I'm like, this is what feels safe and familiar and comfortable. And the nervous system in the fight or flight center of the brain, the amygdala is like, discomfort is a threat to our survival. So don't do anything uncomfortable. Don't change. Like, just stay the same. Keep eating. It's not a big deal. And so, what you need to remind yourself as you're starting to get uncomfortable and you're starting to do your deeper work, whatever it is that you're doing, is that, yeah, it's uncomfortable, but you're safe. And
hmm
there's probably no tiger in your room getting ready to attack you when you're feeling uncomfortable. So,
Yeah.
it's identifying, like, I'm freaking uncomfortable. I don't like this, but I am safe and
Hmm.
I'm gonna wade my way through and I'll find my way through and it's gonna be okay because
Hmm.
it's gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, and I often like to remind people too, like your body is a genius. Your body, these
Yes.
cues, like your body knows. Your body is trying to tell you something
Yes.
like, and again, yeah, most of the time, or some of the time rather, we might not know what it is in that moment, but just give yourself some time. This is not like one day and all this is healed, or one time
No.
we choose not to eat something that we know makes us feel like shit and all is well in the world, right? Like
Yeah.
it's gonna take some time.
It is going to take time. It took me dozens of tries to like catch my
Mhm.
triggers. And I was like self-teaching myself. Like
Mhm.
it is helpful when you do get help, but
Mhm.
like you got to give yourself grace and have more
Mhm.
compassion for yourself because it's not a willpower issue. You're not broken. It's
Yeah.
not because you aren't being perfect. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's so complex and you have not been properly educated. Just like
Mhm.
when have any of us been properly educated about anything, honestly?
Anything related to women's health at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just very thankful for people like you in the world. So again, thank you so much for your work.
Oh,
And yeah, you mentioned
likewise.
like it is easier when you get help. And I know you have a whole host of quizzes and things like that that are available for people. I see you have the emotional eating quiz that people can take, hormone imbalance quiz, and then you do offer some complimentary calls too with people talking around the body freedom.
Mhm.
Yeah, anything else that you would add to that just around your work or how people can find you and get into contact with you?
Yeah. So if you liked our conversation today, I highly suggest checking out the podcast, which is called the No Sugarcoating Podcast. There's over 650 episodes, and we go into everything emotional eating, hormones, mindset, behaviors, habits, all. Yeah, the website is amberapproved.ca, and that's where you can find the quizzes and book your complimentary 30-minute consultation. It's via Zoom, and we can talk about comprehensive hormone testing, emotional eating, whatever you need support with that you just feel like you're struggling with, and we can explore support. And then I'm on social media at Amber Romaniuk, Romaniuk. Instagram is my main hangout spot. So there's lots of like free resources and like master classes and things on the website and social media that you'll find too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Amber. This conversation has been really great. I really, again, appreciate you coming onto the show and sharing this and again, sharing your story here today with listeners.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.